Okay, good morning. It's actually good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for inviting me to present the progress on Mercury flagship under GEO. So let me introduce myself very quickly. I've been director of a large research institute of CNR in Italy for about 10 years. And then I visited Harvard as visiting scholar. Then since the last 30 years, I've been wearing a double hat, both as a scientist and as an expert and designated delegate from my country and from a European Commission in different negotiation of environmental policy. And then I'm engaged with the GEO for about 12 years, since 2008, leading several tasks, and now I'm leading this flagship on Mercury that is supporting the Minamata Convention. So the relationship between science and the policy is a long history for Mercury and for the Minamata. Everything started back in 2001 with the first global Mercury assessment report. And then in the last 20 years, we had a lot of activity in terms of negotiation, preparation of the report. Here you can see this slide. These are two slides that all interested can have it. So you can see the sequence over time of different negotiation phase in different ad hoc group. And then in the last few years, since the Minamata Convention entered into the force, we had three conference of party meetings. The last one was just last November in 2019. Here is an example just to show you what has been the good relationship between scientific community and the policy-making process. A lot of scientists, leading scientists worldwide, have been supporting countries and the UNEP in the preparation of different technical report recommendations and to shape this Minamata Convention that is a legally binding instrument. So this relationship really is continuing and is a really successful story. Then came the activity under GEO, and the GEO is a nice framework for linking science and the policy-making process. One of the activity that we are carrying out in the Minamata Convention implementation strategy is to provide answers to a number of key policy questions. Here you can see the four main policy questions that you can deal with after the ratification of the convention. And when we have a conference of party, of course, one of the goals is to shape the strategy for the implementation of this convention. So the first thing parties will ask to scientific community and to countries if the implemented strategy have been having an effect in terms of achieving the target of the convention. And also for the Mercury, of course, one of the indicator is how much mercury is bioaccumulated in the food chain, and specifically in marine and freshwater biota, and finally to the population. And so in the framework of this flagship, we have been developing a knowledge hub that brings policymakers to have access to a number of data sets that are global monitoring data sets for Mercury, but socioeconomic data. So we have data, and then of course in this flagship we have been developing tools, downstream and upstream analytic tools and models to extract knowledge from this data, from observation, Earth observation information, to provide knowledge to those that will take decision on what should be done by countries in order to meet the target of the convention. So at the end, in the last few years, was nominated an ad hoc group to evaluate the effectiveness of this convention based on evidence, scientific evidence, if the measure have been having effect in terms of reduction of exposure of people to mercury contamination. So we have been developing a virtual lab, a knowledge hub in this flagship to allow policymakers to co-design a policy scenario and also to do some economical evaluation of different strategies in order to provide a concrete basis for those that will take decision to decide what is the best strategy to implement. Lately, we have been also working to engage more the GEO Secretariat in the Conference of Party process. And in the last COP in November 19, GEO was observer of the Conference of Party of the Minamata, and also there was a speech, a communication by Theodora Mills, from a communication officer from the GEO Secretariat, with a nice statement providing, highlighting the potential for GEO to support the policy process for the Minamata. So today, the scope of this flagship is to really to federate existing monitoring network, to federate the different efforts worldwide to develop advanced sensor to fill geographical gaps for monitoring, and also to validate existing tools models to assess a policy scenario. As of today, we have several countries that have been signing officially the partnership agreement of the flagship. So we plan to have a big meeting of the flagship. Was already planned for September this year, but unfortunately due to COVID-19 issue, we have been postponing to the meeting to a date that have not been decided yet. But very likely we will propose to have a virtual meeting by the end of the year in order to keep the ball rolling. Thank you for your attention. I'm available for any questions from the audience. So, Wembo,